There's no doubt the Stanley Cup riot was one of the biggest stories in the province this year. Dana Hutchings is here now with more in tonight's Checkpoint. Dana.
Tess, for the next few days on Checkpoint, we're going to be looking at the top news stories on Vancouver Island this year. Now, while the Stanley Cup riot isn't directly a Vancouver Island story, there were Islanders involved, Islanders injured, and Islanders who were heroes in the riot. Jeff King, Paul Haysom, and Kendall Hansen were there, bringing us the unbelievable story live as it happened.
To start off, it's just an embarrassment to the city, the province, and our country. I'll tell you what's going on in this city right now is just despicable. You know, it's just mayhem downtown. In fact, the police dogs are here right now. The police are they're in their riot gear, and they're having a tough time moving any of these people around. They seem to be getting even more angry as we get along here right now, so I just don't see this thing ending. They're on the bullhorn right now, trying to reason with people and have them move away, but they're just, they're not moving. In fact, it seems that the violence is actually escalating right now. To help the police officers, a big explosion just happened behind us, so now it seems that back towards Rogers Arena, now the folks are starting to riot back down in that area. Another huge explosion right now, and you can see the crowd stepping back. And now there's another fire as we look about 2 blocks down Georgia Street now. So as I'm saying, like, this is a 6 or 7 block mayhem. And there is a huge fire on Seymour Street right now. Police officers on horseback are now in and dispersing the crowd down Seymour Street. Look at this push. Someone is going to get trampled for sure. It's the riot police right down below. It's something that I've never seen in my lifetime.
And our Checkpoint question tonight, what do you think are Vancouver Island's top stories of 2011? You can tweet us at @Check_news, post on Facebook.com/CheckNews, or email checkpoint@checknews.ca.
There are so many stories that have made headlines on Vancouver Island this year. What stories come to mind for you? Well, Dana Hutchings is back now with more on that in Checkpoint. Dana.
Tess, it's a movement that gripped the world. On Facebook, Tyler Stadler told us he thinks the Occupy movement is the story of the year. It started on Wall Street to protest against social and economic inequality and popularized the phrase, "We are the 99%. Nearly 1,000 people gathered in Victoria's Centennial Square on October 15th. It was a global day of action.
I do think that there's a lot of government coziness with corporations that are very troublesome.
I'm really tired of the gap between the wealthy and the poor growing in Canada.
In Nanaimo, 100 demonstrators spoke out against corporate greed, the protest remaining peaceful but focused on sending the global message. The day of demonstration gave way to Occupy camps, this one in Courtenay.
I just don't like the way the government's treating people, and if we don't tell them, who's gonna?
The camps became a source of conflict and debate. In Victoria, 7 weeks after it went up, BC Supreme Court granted an enforcement order to remove the campers who remained. Despite having to vacate, occupiers say their message remains. And our Checkpoint question, what do you think are Vancouver Island's top stories of 2011? Here are some of your thoughts.
I think the biggest news story is that the government, in response to the Lee inquest and the Lee tragedy where Peter Lee slaughtered his wife and his son Christian Lee and her 2 parents, that the provincial government developed a violence against women in relationships policy.
For me, I think it's the HST just because it affects absolutely everybody, whether you have a job or not. Everybody needs to buy food, so that 12% made a big difference.
Victoria's politics and the fact we can't amalgamate ourselves, and particularly the police forces, having so many broken little fiefdoms really bothers me.
Well, I would say the Johnson Street Bridge. It just seems to be a big issue. They don't know whether to put a rail on it, not a rail on it. It seems like people can't walk across the bridge to get a train. So I don't know, that seems to be the big issue for me.
And a reminder, you can vote for your top news stories on our website, www.checknews.ca. In the lead so far, if you're curious, the HST. And tomorrow we'll continue our look back at Vancouver Island's top news stories of 2011. That's tonight's Checkpoint.